Hi, this is 365801 and this is a reading wrap-up video for the final 2 weeks of January 2021. So this is the second reading wrap-up video that I'm making for this year. As I mentioned in my previous video, I am going to try and keep on top of my reading, either through using a reading journal or through videos such as this one, just so that I can try and remember what everything is that I read and what I thought of it and whether or not I enjoyed it. Very often I forget what I've read or what it's about. The little grey cells are not working very well anymore, so I really have to keep on top of that. Now, January was definitely a month of two halves, with the first 2 weeks very much focused on reading for the Buzzword Readathon or for my light novels or my longer series, and that was The World's Greatest First Love. And the second 2 weeks, I have to say, I did focus more on editing videos because I was starting to feel overwhelmed about all of the videos that I had started and not finished, or filmed and not started editing. So yeah, I didn't read as much, and you'll see this in the video. Now, the two print titles that I read are Sanzo's Caterpillar Girl and Bad Texture Boy and Asumiko Nakamura's Maiden Railways. Now, I did talk a bit about both of these in my manga haul video for the month of January, so if you're interested in a bit more information, then I'll put a link on the screen or in the description below. But needless to say, 5 stars for Maiden Railways, and probably only like a 2.5 to 3 for Caterpillar Girl. I think 3 definitely, because I'm still thinking about it now, and at least that's a measure of how disturbing it was, that I'm interested in it, and I'm still interested in it, and I don't think I'm going to forget about it very quickly. It's something that's probably going to stick with me. Whereas Maiden Railways was just delightful and definitely worthy of all of the praise heaped on it. It's beautiful, as you would expect from Nakamura Asumiko, but also just such a delightful time reading it. So I feel good about having both of these in the collection at the moment. I'll definitely be keeping Maiden Railways. Now, I read a couple of titles on the Fotekia library website, and one of them was Crossing Paths in a Vegetable Garden. That was easy for me to say. That is by Hareya Umako, and it's quite an interesting wee one. A boy, Seita, likes another boy, Kiyosawa, and unfortunately it doesn't seem as though he's that interested in him. There is another boy though, of course, and that is Amane, and he seems to be getting in the way. It's always like he's the third wheel, and of course he suspects that he also feels for this boy Kiyosawa, and that maybe he's his rival for his affections, of course. It was very much of course. Seita really doesn't want to spend time with Amane. He just wants to spend time with Kiyosawa. He feels like Amane's getting in the way and, being this heel to his love. But, of course, his dreams are crushed when Kiyosawa decides to introduce him to his girlfriend. And shout out to his girlfriend. She's like a tall lady, she's broad, she seems very strong, and she's barely in it. She's like just this little side character. But I was like, Kiyosawa, I see your preference. Anyway, because Seita is heartbroken, Amane ends up kind of swooping in and seeing his chance, because surprise, surprise, he's always had a thing for Seita, and it wasn't Kiyosawa at all. What I really loved about this one, it is set in a school, by the way. I loved that it kind of appeared that Kiyosawa had the props to know what the hell was going on from day one. Like, he knew. He was like, okay, here's the status quo. There seems to be some sort of, feelings going on. Like, my pal over here likes me. Sorry. And my pal over here likes him. the two of them should get together. And he knew that he had to make the break. He was the linchpin that had to make the change, and went off and thought, maybe it's time I got myself a wee love instead of being in other people's love triangles, even though I don't really want to be. So I liked that had that wee element thrown in there at the end. It was really cute, it was really sweet, artwork was very nice, it was an easy read. It didn't feel too spicy, it felt very soft and fluffy, so it was a nice fluffy read. So yeah, I do recommend it if you've got half an hour to just relax and make you feel good about life. It wasn't too bad, I really enjoyed it actually. Now the next Futekia title that I read, I don't even know why I read it. Anyway, it's called My Love, Mein Lieb, and it's by Muro Ayako, and it was about a guy, Shinosuke, not Shinosuke, but Shinosuke. Like, I think that's like a joke in Japanese that maybe doesn't translate, because I didn't get it. Like, it was like they put an extra sound in it. Shinosuke rather than Shinosuke. Anyway, so Shinosuke works at a hotel, and he's a really hard worker. And because he's always trying hard and he's working himself literally into the ground, he's not really allowing other people to pick up the slack and develop their skills and things. Anyway, he ends up stumbling into like a neighbour's apartment rather than his own. He's on the wrong floor, I think. And he wakes up in their bed and the person who's in there is a foreigner, which is so shocking for a Japanese story and for Japanese readers. But for me, it's just like, I don't know, it depends how my feeling is on the Japanese psyche at that time. If I'm looking at it going, oh, of course, a Japanese person would be like, oh, wow, waking up when there's a foreigner in your bed. And it's like, the xenophobia. I was definitely not having it. I was not having it. That day that I read it, I was just like, get over yourselves. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Like, Japan, enough. So yeah, I mean, the foreigner aspect in some manga, I really I'm like, sometimes it's fine. And in this one, it ended up being fine, but there was just still too many things that made me think, you know what, Japanese people, get over your effing selves. I got really annoyed. And maybe that's also because there was some news in about Japan, about Japanese values that I don't particularly like sexism and other such stuff, and it just does not thrill me. So yeah, I think I liked the story, I enjoyed it, because of course the guy who he ended up in bed with is his new boss, who owns the hotel now, of course, and and wants to have a relationship with him. Anyway, it wasn't the best, purely because I think I wasn't in the mood for it. I wasn't in the mood for the nonsense. It's like completely different sweet and fluffy story, and it is still a sweet and fluffy story. So if you want a workplace salaryman comedy, it's supposed to be comedy, but I wasn't laughing. I wasn't really laughing. I was laughing at some of the expressions and the chibi faces and stuff. That was quite funny. So the art helped to, push the story along. I enjoyed that aspect of it. But overall, I was just like, again with the, scary foreigners type thing, when really it is, 2021. Literally, stop it. That's kind of how I felt. In BL as well. It's like, seriously, no more. Stop. So, along with the two Futekia titles, I also read a few things on Leshin, as you would expect. One of them was Crash Into Me, just the first 3 episodes, and I think that's by someone called Rerun. So yeah, anyway, it's quite an interesting one. There's a guy, Seyoung Chan, and he kind of is feeling really stressed, and it's bad because his neighbor or the person upstairs has very loud sex all the time, and he's just kind of getting to him. He's not getting enough sleep. He's very stressed. Anyway, they end up having some sort of interaction in it, and then they end up having some sort of other interaction, which seems to de-stress him. So yeah, it seemed like a really interesting 3 chapters only, but it seemed a really interesting premise as to how these two people, these people get together, and their meet cute is not as wholesome as other meet cutes, but so far I am enjoying it. So I might pick up some more chapters on Crash Into Me. The artwork's quite nice. Yeah, it seems like it's got a lot of potential, so we'll see how that goes. Now, once again, there was some Love is an Illusion going on, so episode 94. I can't say I was that impressed with this chapter. There was a lot of chatter on Twitter about how they were like, no, stop it. There is just... there's a way to behave in a relationship, and there's a way to not. But I'm like, they're married. If that's how their relationship works, it works for them. Personally, not my taste. I'm not sure I would. I'd beat him up. I would be like, you stop it now. I would not be having that. Yeah. So I think that's an interesting. Hye-sung, I think he needs to, put his foot down every once in a while and just, show them who's boss. It's like, stop that. You may be the alpha, but in this relationship, I'm the one in charge. I think Hye-sung has to be in charge a bit more. What I did love is that little sort of cameo from the ladies at the end. The fact that they're in a relationship, they're just so cute. So yeah, any more of the 2 ladies, the friends from college, they just seem delightful. So I was happy about that. So the last thing that I read during these 2 weeks was A Man of Virtue, and I think I read episode 37 all the way through to I think it was episode 46 in January. This is Jigang E and Wook, and it's available on Lesson. Go check it out because it's great, and I'm really enjoying being able to use that. January was great, so many free coins, and I used them all on getting A Man of Virtue, so I'm really enjoying it. But oh my goodness, did this, episode 46 just left me really sad, because they were so frustrating. Boys, you're so frustrating. So sexy. I love seeing them, but they have just had so much history between the two of them. There's so many interactions and so many misunderstandings and so many no compromises, either of them, and a sort of embarrassment for feelings, and they caught feelings and they just can't deal with it. And yeah, so in January it was very frustrating. I'm recording this a bit later, so I have read some chapters after that, and it was really good, but I'll talk about that in the next reading wrap up that I do. But these two, they're sexy, they're cute, they're sweet, they're annoying, they're gremlins. I love it. They're really good, and I love the other couple as well, who aren't a couple, of course, because why make it easy for themselves? But then, there wouldn't be a story otherwise. I am absolutely loving A Man of Virtue. I'm loving the fact that it's so sexy and so fun, and it's a bit, I think it must be a bit like, that whole whoever falls first in love and admits to being in love first loses, and that whole sense of you love, you lose type thing. And neither of them want to really admit it. So yeah, up to episode 46 it was like but I really enjoyed reading them for January. So this is what I read throughout the whole of January, so it's quite a lot of titles. Not so much, obviously, as I said, in the second half as to reading in the first half, but a nice start for the year. I do have a personal goal for 2021, and that is to read a lot more, and as I said, to keep a track on it in any way, and I hope that this is a good way to do it. Hopefully this video will not take me too long to edit, because I'm thinking it should only be about 10 minutes long max. It's gonna take me like 2 hours or something stupid like that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, a wee thumbs up would be cool. Subscribe if you like these kind of videos, and I will be posting more videos for my 2020 review for the year and some other stuff as well. Whatever I'm working on, whatever I've been editing for the past 2 weeks. Remember, every day is a BL day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!